Would you say right now, like Avs are the top dog in the Western Conference, like firmly established after a month and a half?
Oh, and the league in general. I think it's
Okay.
it's them and then it's everyone else.
Let's bring on our dear friend Dmitry Filipovich, host of the PDO cast. He joins us now. Hi,
Look at this
handsome.
handsome fella. Nice jacket.
Fellas, what's going on? Yeah, I got the fleece. It's getting cold here in Vancouver finally.
Outstanding. Are the Avalanche this good?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, one regulation loss halfway through November almost is preposterous. I'm not sure that's going to continue, but they're just an absolute buzzsaw. I mean, up and down the lineup, the top line is the best in the league, but the depth is better than it's ever been for them. They're getting great goaltending out of Scott Wedgwood, and it's kind of scary to think that once this power play gets going a little bit, they're going to be beating teams by an even handier margin. So, yeah, I thought the week they had here with a couple statement wins was about as impressive as it gets.
You are as good a bottom six surveyor as anybody in hockey media. Who has impressed you the most from the Avs bottom six?
I mean, it goes up and down the lineup. Like, they split up that second line after a bit, right? They moved Gabe Landeskog down into more of a defensive assignment check-and roll because he wasn't really scoring. And so what they were getting out of him and Victor Olofsson was phenomenal. Olofsson, who they brought in late in the summer for pretty much the league minimum, just over it, has been nearly a point a game and crushing it on the top unit power play. My guy Gavin Brindley, who they got kind of as a throw-in in that Charlie Coyle, Miles Wood trade at the draft, is phenomenal. He got a 2-year extension here. We were actually joking on the Sunday show. Drance was saying we were going to go watch the Avs while they were in town and playing the Canucks, and he was most excited to see Gavin Brindley. And then sure enough, he goes out and scores the overtime winner in that game. So he wound up sounding pretty smart for that one. But yeah, I mean, this team right now, the way they're playing is just they're the best show on ice.
Is Brindley overachieving, or do you think like they knew what they were doing with that Coyle trade? Because it seemed like they were just trying to get rid of Coyle to me.
They were, but the thing is this summer with the cap going up, everyone had more space, and so all of a sudden, these guys who previously would have been pure cap dumps where you would have had to pay to get rid of them were all of a sudden being treated as valuable assets. So they got a couple picks back. They dumped Miles Wood's deal, which has 3 or 4 years left on it. And then Brindley's a guy who he's undersized, but he had awesome college numbers. He was playing with Adam Fantilli in Michigan, and then he had a slow start in his pro career in the AHL, but he's clearly got offensive juice, and this is what smart organizations do. They take guys like this, they give them a chance, and he's rewarding them for it.
So would you say right now, like Avs are the top dog in the Western Conference, like firmly established after a month and a half?
Oh, and the league in general. I think it's them and then it's everyone else. I mean, the statement games that I alluded to, like they go into Edmonton and everyone's excited about it Saturday night and they just put the boots to them, score 9 goals. They were trying to get that 10th one at the end as well and almost got it. And then I'm sure they got up for that Anaheim game, right? It was kind of being promoted as this first, second in the league based on points percentage. Everyone's talking about how the Ducks are this surging, exciting team, and they just thoroughly dominated them for large stretches of that game on national TV. The game I watched in Vancouver was probably one of the worst ones they've played all year, and I think it was just a matter of like a great team on a second of a back-to-back doing the absolute bare minimum to get 2 points, and they were good enough to do so. But yeah, I mean, they pretty much have had no off nights so far. It's remarkable that they have just the one regulation loss.
We talked earlier in the show about how like you take turns thinking who the monster might be, and I think this is probably going to be another season in which there's just like a collection of 4 or 5 teams, Vegas, Carolina, maybe New Jersey, if that ends up happening longer, there with the usual suspects, Dallas, Edmonton. Who do you think is the biggest threat to the Avalanche?
I think just from a historical perspective, it's got to be Dallas because they're going to play each other most likely in round 2. And Dallas, I know they don't have Pete DeBoer there anymore, but they've had success against them in the playoffs, even when they've had seemingly worse teams on paper. So it would probably have to be them. And then I guess you go, I know it's going to sound silly considering they just beat them 9-1, but the playoff Oilers are going to be different than the October, November Oilers that we've seen. And so that's probably going to be the biggest test. But I think this has been huge for them, right? Because like, for all of these years, they've had McKinnon and Makar, and they've been leading the league in points and winning individual trophies. They've gotten out of the second round just once, and they won the cup that year, but it's been largely disappointing in terms of actual results. And so last year, they used like a million different skaters. They don't have home ice in round 1. It winds up costing them against Dallas when Rantanen just goes nuclear in that third period in Game 7. And so I think they wanted to enter this year making a statement, getting home ice, and they're well on their way to doing so.
Where are you putting the Ducks right now? Like in terms of tiers, are you PDO merchants? Are they overachieving? Are they kind of establishing themselves as a real threat? Where do you kind of assess them right now?
Yeah, I thought they were going to be like last year's Columbus in that they'd make a coaching change. All their young players would look way better. They'd be awesome offensively, and they certainly have been. I think there's more substance to it, though. Like, you look at who's driving the bus for them in that top six, which is all essentially young guys in their early 20s, is legitimately dominating. All the underlying numbers are passing everything you're looking for from those guys. The offense is absolutely lethal. I mean, I know they lost that game and it ended their winning streak, but the pushback they had in that first period where they tie it up, they get a bunch of chances, and then what Leo Carlson was doing on that type of stage, where even in the third period he's like dangling around Nathan McKinnon, creating scoring chances. I think it's incredibly exciting, and the state of the Pacific is a part of this too. Like I with some of these teams kind of dropping off a little bit, I expect Vegas and Edmonton to be there at the end. But I think there's a very realistic case that they're already the third best team in the Pacific and certainly one of the 8 best teams in the West. So I would expect them to make the playoffs despite us expecting them to regress a little bit.
I just forgot that I haven't put words in your mouth in like a few months. And that's one of my favorite things to do is just like have a take and then say that I heard it or saw it from you. And then people are like, damn,
right.
Must be smart. I was listening to your 5-parter on the Bruins being the hottest team in hockey and how this is for real. Could you just summarize that for people who aren't Patreon subscribers?
Yeah, it was a comprehensive deep dive breaking down every single element of the Bruins and how good they are. I mean, this 7-game winning streak is absolutely wild considering the 6-game losing streak they went on previously. The only team to beat the aforementioned Colorado Avalanche in regulation, so that's quite a feather in their cap. I mean, listen, like I thought this might be the worst team in the league heading into the season, and so everything beyond that is gravy. They clearly aren't because they have a lot of good NHL players, and Pasternak and Geekie are good enough to score on any given night with any other opposition, but the underlying numbers suggest that it's still probably a bottom 5 team and they're just running hot, but enjoy it while you can. I think this is the beauty of an 82-game season. You get random runs like this.
Do you love Morgan Geekie as much as I do?
I do. I mean, I remember being just perplexed that the Kraken let him go. I remember he had that qualifying offer, and that was the summer they didn't want to pay him and Daniel Sprong, and they just let those guys walk for nothing. And, I was a bit skeptical of the extension they gave him just because it was like, well, a lot of his points were just Pasternak either putting it on a tee for him or quite literally using him as a backboard sometimes to just bank it off him and into the net. And so I don't know if you want to pay a premium for that, but they had the cap space and he's still in his prime and he's good. I mean, he's running absolutely red hot right now. Pretty much every time he shoots the puck, I expect it to go into the net regardless of where he is in the offensive zone. So I think he's really fun to watch, and just the two of those guys cooking is worth the price of admission.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe.
It's not just one or two guys. It's Celebrini, it's Bedard, it's Gauthier, it's Demidov, it's Schaefer, it's Leo Carlson, even Wyatt Johnston is still 22, absolutely tearing it up.
We've got to talk about kids these days. You were browsing some stats before the show. Mm-hmm. What were you saying to me?
I said, hey, do you know who is tied for the league lead in points after last night? And you're like, who played last night? Going through some teams. The answer is Macklin fucking Celebrini has the league lead in points, tied with Connor McDavid, although Macklin Celebrini has a game in hand.
Oh.
Has a game in hand.
I love game in hand talk.
But we've got a 19-year-old kid who is leading the league in points after another 3-point night last night.
And Sean, what was the point that you made about this? Because this followed a day in which we were talking about the league leaders in goals and how Cutter Gauthier was tied atop the list.
Yeah,
with 21 years old.
I compared it to the NFL. Like I feel like there was a day where we all woke up and looked up, and like all of a sudden the best quarterbacks in the league were Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and like all of us, there were no more. Like Aaron Rodgers was an old man. Did I say Patrick Mahomes? Did I leave his name out? Like Manning and Brady are out of the league. Like all of a sudden, the youth took over, and I feel like you're seeing a very similar thing in the NHL. Celebrini, like obviously, like Bedard is getting buried by all of this, but even he's playing well. Like it's
I don't
awesome.
think that Bedard's getting buried. I honestly think that like Bedard's kind of getting elevated. Like obviously the comparison of like, would you take Celebrini or Bedard? But like now it's like, look at both of these guys.
I meant more buried in the sense that like people aren't really paying attention to how good he's doing because they're spending so much energy on Macklin. But like, yeah, he's what did you say? He was top 10 in points too?
Yeah, he's top 10 in points.
So, like,
he had a goal and assist last night, 18 points in 14 games.
Like Cutter Gauthier is one of the most dominant goal scorers in hockey right now.
Yeah.
Like Macklin and Bedard are pouring in points.
It's not just a couple guys. That's the thing. It's not just one or two guys. It's Celebrini, it's Bedard, it's Gauthier, it's Demidov, it's Schaefer, it's Leo Carlson, even Wyatt Johnston is still 22, absolutely tearing it up. Dylan Gunther's 22. Will Smith next to Celebrini. And there are so many guys now. Logan Cooley. Many guys right now who are 22 or younger who are like not emerging prospects. They are stars in the league now.
And we're less than a year away from a kid who's supposed to be better than all of them getting drafted. Well, I don't know if he's going to
Keaton
be.
Verhoff isn't going to score that many goals.
But like, I guess compared to the hype around them coming into their individual draft years, like it's bigger than ever.
I'm so glad you said what you just said about how this isn't emerging players. This is players who have arrived. And Sean, when you said what you said about the one day we woke up and it was Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes were the best players in the league and everything had changed, I checked that. I looked up the top 25 players in points this time last year versus this year. Last year, in the top 25 in points, players under 25 won. Tim Stutzla.
Okay.
Today, 5. Macklin Celebrini, Matthew Nyes, Connor Bedard, Leo Carlson, Cole Caulfield. Last year, players under 25 that were top 25 in goals. Last year, 1. Cole Caulfield. Today, 8. Cutter Gauthier, Cole Caulfield, Jack Hughes, Macklin Celebrini, Dawson Mercer, Seth Jarvis, Logan Cooley, and Connor Bedard. So last year, there was 1 player under 25 that was top 25 in goals, and this year there's 8. That number's gone from 1 to 8 and 1 to 5 with points. Crazy.
One of the most fascinating things about those lists, I guess, is like Matthew Nyes, Jack Hughes, Seth Jarvis. Like they didn't even clock with me as being part of this youth movement, and they are.
Seth Jarvis is 23.
Been in the league for a couple of years, but they're still young.
Yeah, Jarvis. I mean, Wyatt Johnston is the one that consistently trips me up because I feel like he's been in the league for 6 years at this point, and I know that he's still young, but 22 is crazy.
Yeah, and like obviously, again, these lists don't even like have room for guys like Lane Hudson or Matthew Schaefer because they're defensemen, obviously. But like, yeah, there's just a lot of young players. Like, it feels really good. I feel like every sport goes through this. Went through it with the NFL, where it was like, is there going to be a next era? Because before we had all those the quarterbacks that I mentioned earlier, there was also like Josh Rosen burning out. Sam Darnold didn't look good. Like there was kind of an era, even like Jared Goff early on. Like we were like, is there going to be a next era of like greats? Mm-hmm. And obviously there always is going to be, but like it's cool to actually see it.
Damina Scott has kind of clocked it like the NHL did, where they're putting out these commercials for the last couple of years saying the golden era is now. They clocked it. Like they've got a bunch of young stars who are ready to take over the league. What's cool though is that like on the same day that we're talking about this, we're still talking about Ovechkin. Crosby's still tearing it up. Malkin's still tearing it up. Like there are still a number of old guys that are there too. Like the league feels like it's in an awesome place right now.
Someone in the chat said we're eating good right now. Boy, are we. We're going to eat even better because we're going to bring in Steve Peters from Inside the Coach's Room on YouTube. Also just does so much stuff with the nation now. We absolutely love it. What's up, Petey? Who do you like the most out of all these young stars? And do you agree that we have kind of turned the page while keeping, as Pete said, the other book is still very much open with Sid and Ovechkin, and I know these guys are younger, but like the best players in the league are still McKinnon, Draisaitl, McDavid, etc. What do you like most, and who do you like most of these young guys?
I think what's exciting is what you said. When you go back to let's go back to the World Cup 2016. You're talking Matthews, McKinnon, McDavid, and all that young core. And you go, oh my gosh, these guys are the future of the NHL. Well, this new crop, the amount of talent and skill in this group of players, the game is clearly continuing to change and evolve and get better talent wise. And I think we're going to talk about some of the teams that are struggling. We're looking at it because they've got veteran good players. Well, that's not what winning anymore. Like, you need these young players. That Anaheim Duck team is phenomenal to watch. But Macklin Celebrini is the best, hands down. He's the guy. Bedard's a nice player, but Bedard needs players around him to be good for him to be good. Macklin Celebrini can do it by himself, and I think that's the differentiator between those two. Macklin Celebrini is absolutely elite, and I just wish for his sake and maybe for hockey's sake. I think it's great that he's in San Jose. I think it's great for West Coast hockey. I think it's great. The problem is he's not getting enough eyes nationally because he's not playing in Pittsburgh, Boston, New York, Washington. And I think more people would appreciate how he is playing right now if they were getting more eyes on him.
Yeah, but he's our Tuck King. We love a Tuck King. And I didn't think about this until now, and you're the perfect person to have in front of me as this thought comes into my brain. Team North America. Imagine if Team North America, 21 and under, was in the World Cup of Hockey next year, or 23 and under, 23 and under was in the World Cup of Hockey next year. The fact that they're not doing that at a time when like that team might actually beat some of the competition in the field feels like a big miss, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's one of the big things the league did at that point, because they really wanted to put a face and a name with all of those young players. And right now, really, those guys are driving the league. And I think when you look at what Schaefer's getting national attention and you talk about Celebrini and Bedard, absolutely, I think they missed. And one of the things the league is trying to do is trying to be like basketball. They want to sell our stars. And I think they're getting better. But this would be a fantastic opportunity. Can you imagine? And I think it was kind of gimmicky the first time they did it because they really just needed to fill out enough teams to play. But by the end of that tournament, that was the team that people were rooting for because it was McDavid, Matthews, Johnny Hockey, and the list went on and on. And I do believe that. If you put that out there now with the game played the way it is now, with the speed that's played with now with those guys, and can you see them facing off against McKinnon and McDavid? Yes. Like, I think that would be, I'll buy tickets. You know what? Just make that the All-Star game every year. The over 25 and the under 25, count me in. Don't use borders, just use age.
And you know what? That's a gimmicky thing that leagues have done in the past, where they're like, at All-Star Weekend, we're going to invite some of the younger players. And they're like a Rising Stars game, and they're going to play against each other or whatever. Like, no, right now, this league is in a rare position where you could do the like Rising Stars, but like, what the fuck, you going to call Macklin Celebrini a rising star? He's one of the best players in the league right now. But if you did, as Pete said, just 23 and under, and it doesn't have to be Team North America. I know that most of the guys that we're talking about, really all of them that we just talked about, except for Ivan Demidov, are from North America. But if you just did Leo Carlson. 23, Leo Carlson. If you did 23 and under versus 24 and up, hell yeah, that would be so captivating. Make a little, it would, I mean, after Four Nations, I think we've clearly learned that not doing a traditional All-Star game is the way to do it going forward. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything: daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe.
Everybody's pulling their weight. Stu's been really good. Like you mentioned, Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse, goal share over the past 5 games, 7-1.
What we should be talking about right now is the Edmonton Oilers, because they went in to a little bit of a tough stretch. They'd won 3 games in a row, famously, about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago at this point, with Petey. I declared I'd kind of settled on who I thought was the team that's going to come out of the West, who's the well-rounded, kind of impenetrable team, and I'd landed on it's actually just the Oilers. After the kind of weird start, then they go into this stretch, and we talked about Hyman scoring again. Draisaitl is just having a Leon Draisaitl season. Love that. They had the Wild on Thursday. And on that grade, you remember, what was it?
A?
It was an A.
Yeah.
Because that had some game of the year potential. Wild are the upstart, hey, look at us, here we come kind of team. Mm-hmm. Oilers playing really good hockey. If the Wild had won that game, and I believe, it was in Minnesota.
It was.
It was in Minnesota. But even at home, if the Wild had won that game, we would have sat up a little more straight when we talked about the Wild.
Yeah.
Take them a little more seriously. The Oilers were not doing stupid Oilers stuff. They were playing good hockey. So if the Wild won that game, we'd say, okay. And after that game, the Oilers had the Vegas Golden Knights. So this was a tough stretch.
Yeah, and that's not to say that like what the Wild have done this season is like unimpressive or like we weren't taking it seriously. They're a good team, but when you're a good team who's like arriving on the scene as like, hey, we're here now, we're joining this party, we're in the big boys club, we are a Stanley Cup contender this season, and I think that a lot of people were ready and willing to put the Wild in that conversation. Had they done it against the Oilers, and obviously it's a one-game sample, but had they shown up against the Oilers and really made a statement, then yeah, like I think they would deserve to be in that club, in that party. They got fucking worked. That was an absolute ass kicking. And again, it's not exclusive to the Wild because the Oilers are doing that against really good teams. They did it to a lesser extent against Vegas on Saturday because they kind of let Vegas
Back in the game,
play around a little bit in the third period. But man, the Wild very much looked like they could not hang in that game.
Yeah, so Thursday, into a lesser extent, Saturday, which respectfully to the Wild, Vegas is better than the Wild. And Vegas has more guys, especially with Minnesota playing without Middleton. But I already took Vegas more seriously than the Wild. But what was interesting about the Wild game for me as an Oilers fan, and as like for the show, we do need to keep pretty close tabs on like, where are the Oilers right now? Are they good? Because they're going to be expected to make some sort of run here. With the exception of our guy Jakob Lauko kind of tuning up Ty Emberson.
That was a great fight.
That was a great fight.
Great representation on both sides. Like Emberson landed a couple big uppercuts, but man, Lauko, that was a fucking great fight.
But with the exception...
Both guys got hurt.
Yes, yeah. With the exception of that fight, the Oilers weren't like skating circles around them. But the Oilers were just easily controlling the game, easily scoring, easily winning, not embarrassing anybody, but just clearly, hockey buzzword, outclassing the Wild. Like it did not seem close in that regard.
And the air of like the way that they were doing it, they weren't even that excited about it. It was just like the business as usual. They know that they're humming on all cylinders right now, and it is really, really impressive. And it's worth mentioning that the Wild not fully healthy.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that was a bit of a disappointment in terms of like I was expecting a much better game out of the Wild. Was expecting that to be a really great game. The Wild, that may have been a wake up call for them.
Our group text was active. Actually, it was you, Sean, were you in on that, or were Pete and I just hammering each other?
About the Oilers?
Yeah.
Probably.
It was
probably
just
just you two. I don't have time to talk about hockey right now. I don't have the energy to talk about hockey.
So
Sean has never liked hockey, guys. Let's
fucking hate
move
this
off
sport.
it. There's no proof Sean's a hockey fan.
So we were just talking about like how we haven't talked about the Oilers much this season. It's basically the polar opposite of the way that I feel about the Sabres, where like I didn't want to talk about the Oilers because we knew that they would re-enter the conversation at some point. They were just doing the same fucking thing that they always do. And I didn't feel the need or compelled to talk about it. And I didn't feel the need to be compelled or talk about the Buffalo Sabres because they were just doing what they always do. But now it's gotten to the point for both sides on either end of the spectrum. You're like, this is very interesting the way that this is happening.
This is like, I know you don't like the Sabres are in the news, but the Oilers and Sabres are just in the news.
The Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl.
And we are nothing if not newsmen. We deliver you the news. So they beat the Wild 7-1 easily. And then so we were active in our group text. And it was just, hey, like, never mind on the Wild front. We're not throwing them away, but we're just not kind of advancing them to the next level of being taken seriously, which is fine because we had kind of felt that they were you were really good on the Canucks last year and clocked them pretty well, which is like, hey, they're arriving. It doesn't mean they've arrived. They're going to get punched around probably by the time they get to the postseason. And I tip my cap to the Wild. To the Canucks. They end up taking the conference champions to 7 games in the second round. That was a great season for them last year, but it was like they are not totally there yet.
Mhm.
I don't think we think the Wild are totally there yet, right?
No, and they shouldn't be. They still have all the dead money on the cap. Like they have like a weight around their ankles, and they're still doing a great job. Like that's a good team. I've been forced to now become a Minnesota Wild respecter, which is not something that I saw coming. They're a good team. I don't think they're in the club yet.
So 2 days after working the Wild 7-1, they worked the Golden Knights 6-3, and I believe it was 4-0, and then I watched the whole game, but parts of it were on my phone and everything. But anyway, they always had a comfortable lead, but they win 6-3.
Skinner would give one away,
right? Despite they allowed 2 goals in under 30 seconds, and on a third period power play, Stu Skinner just did Stu God stuff and handed Brett Howden a goal. But they still win 6-3, and with the exception of a couple of weird things, they were clearly the better team against the Golden Knights. And that makes me I did an Oil Man parlay, and I just kind of threw out anything good for the Oilers could happen, and it hit.
All of it happened. Yeah.
All of it happened. Hyman scored, Draisaitl scored. They went over on the goals.
And worth noting, like Vegas in the club. Vegas is in the club. They are a team that absolutely you take seriously. I think they can win the cup this year. That was like you could slap around the Wild, and I say good for you. Like they're not there yet. Vegas definitely there, and they did it against both.
My posture did change over the weekend, and it was for the Oilers, and I didn't think that I'd be able to sit up a little straighter for them because, as you said, like we know how this story works. If they're not playing well, guess what's going to happen in a little bit? They're going to win a bunch of games in a row. They're going to beat good teams, and we will all absolutely believe it.
Yeah,
but still, when they beat Vegas, when Vegas knows that they just beat the Wild, and like Vegas still probably has some statements they want to make themselves. Let's not forget, this is a team that was by some left for dead going into the season when they lost the pieces that they lost in the offseason. So as you said, they are in the club, and I take Vegas extremely seriously. So I took that game a hell of a lot more seriously than I took the Thursday game. Either way, they win both of those games. Draisaitl is absolutely on heart watch.
Yeah,
he's tied for the league lead with Kirill Kaprizov in goals. He is tied for 5th in points, per game. I think right now I like Kaprizov more than him, but if you want to get into the like wing versus center thing or whatever, and Draisaitl, as usual, has been awesome on faceoff, so like there's reasons to maybe have a case for Draisaitl. I have a much bigger case personally for Kaprizov right now. Maybe it's the element of surprise, but
I think it's also the element of like, and you can argue whether or not this is deserving.
He's their only guy.
He's their guy. Like
he's their guy.
That matters.
So Draisaitl is on heart watch. Oilers are awesome. Hyman is back. We'll talk about Darnell Nurse in a little bit, but something that you kind of came on to at some point last week was like Draisaitl is playing on a line with Vasily Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen. And that is an NHL team's second. Those are 2 players on an NHL team's second line. And I'll let you elaborate on it. But the way you phrased it to me was this is peak. They can't keep getting away with Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah. And if you want to have like the conversation like, oh, Kirill Kaprizov is the guy for the Wild, like he's their engine. The counter argument to that would be like, look who Leon Draisaitl is playing with. And yeah, like he shares the ice with much better players a lot of the time, like on the power play and whatever. But like he can make like almost anything work, almost anything. And he is. You said before the show like that you've been watching the Oilers with somebody who's not very familiar, and like this season they believe that Leon's the guy. Like they were under the impression that Leon is the best player in the world, and this season. That's probably true. Like Connor's still obviously the best player in the world. Yeah. But this year, Leon, like the way that they change off and kind of can both spend time being the best player in the world, like it's unbelievable. And he's been crazy, and that is the biggest. You can't keep getting away with this. Like just waiver wire pickup guys stick him with Draisaitl, and you can have the best line in the world.
Yeah, since you outed me, my girlfriend thinks that Leon Draisaitl is
hard launch.
is the Oilers is the best player in the world, because I tell her, I'm like, she hadn't watched a lot of hockey. She watches every Oilers game now, and I was like, they've got the best player in the world. They've also got Draisaitl, and she was like, is McDavid the best player in the world? And she like knows puck so far, and I was like, that fucking rocks, because if you had never watched these two before, you would be dazzled by both, and you would absolutely think that Draisaitl is the best player in the world.
And that's like, and also like the line mates thing is a little bit unfair because like those guys are playing well. But it obviously helps playing with Draisaitl. I think it's like the bigger conversation here over the last 5 games for the Oilers that everybody is pulling their weight. Everybody is playing well. Like we haven't talked about Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner scored the other day.
Yes.
And I was going through some of the numbers under the hood, and literally every player on the Oilers roster that has played over the last 5 games is either winning their minutes or even in their minutes. Every single one of them is winning or like evening out in their minutes. And that's everybody's pulling their weight. Stu's been really good. Like you mentioned Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse goal share over the past 5 games, 7-1. Darnell Nurse. So like he was on the ice the other night for a goal against, and you said that the broadcast was like, that's the first goal that he's been on the ice in forever.
It was news that like they hard launched Darnell Nurse was on the ice for a goal against. That was shocking news to people. Yeah, and you mentioned that like everybody is winning their minutes against good teams.
Yeah.
Against the class of the West. Do you have the Lauren McDavid stuff? Okay, so this is another good tweet from Pete. The Oilers are ragdolling the league's best teams. Everyone is scoring. Lauren McDavid is making cool ass clothes. Everything is coming up Edmonton right now. She's cooking, is Lauren McDavid.
Oh yeah, those are great. Like that's, you know me, like that's very much up my alley. Very much my style. I love it. This honestly was not even like my best take of the weekend about Lauren McDavid. I texted you, Lauren McDavid is built for being a wag like Connor McDavid is built for hockey.
Oh, yeah.
She is like, fuck it. She crushes like being a wag. Like she's involved in the community, does that cool shit, like is awesome influencer, ride or die for Connor. Like, I love Lauren McDavid. Big fan.
Did you see Gene with Lauren on the broadcast?
Yeah.
That was just, it was as though he had the Queen of England.
I was going to say like big first lady energy.
Yeah.
She crushed it.
My understanding of Edmonton is she is the first lady of, she is, if not the president of Edmonton, the first lady. I could say that maybe Connor is even more the first man, because Lauren is and Connor's polished, but like Lauren is
the
spokesperson, the presidential one, and Connor is you see a weird video of a stranger being kind of weird to them when they're just trying to buy beer, and you're like, leave him out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't ask for any of this. He is not a politician. He is but a lowly hockey player.
That is true. I would agree with that. But she's built. She's built for it.
Okay, so on the Wild, we say not quite ready. That's okay. The Wild played Vegas on Sunday, when Vegas was on the second game of a back-to-back. Edmonton followed by Minnesota. That's no piece of cake. And yeah, they got smoked by the Oilers, but I tip my cap to them because they held on to win. A better rested Wild team, 3-2. Bit of a crazy scramble at the end there, but it was a fun finish. And I would have expected, I kind of would have expected Vegas to win against the Wild, even when they were playing on a back-to-back. It just shows that they're more there. They're in the club. Minnesota isn't.
Yeah, and again, like you said, I think that's fine. I think that's okay that the Wild aren't that team yet, but there's still a lot of hockey left. Like they can figure it out down the stretch. Just right now, if we're doing taking them seriously rankings, they are a tier below, I think.
We all silly like the mayor.
But the real answer is this Toronto Maple Leaf team is just better. It's better than they've been in years, and it starts with their defense.
Why are the Toronto Maple Leafs so good without Austin Matthews?
Is it honestly, is it a time for Mitch Marner to shine? Is it giving him the freedom to be, hey, I'm the guy now, maybe? And it's not Austin Matthews. Maybe everybody's got to pick up the slack. But the real answer is this Toronto Maple Leaf team is just better. It's better than they've been in years, and it starts with their defense. I think this is the first time that a Toronto Maple Leaf team you can look at and go, oh my gosh, they're actually defending. And their goaltenders have played well, and they've got good numbers, but they defend first. And I don't think they're relying on those 6-4, 5-3 wins anymore. Like they can beat you defensively. And I think that's the huge difference. When you take a big goal scorer like Austin Matthews out of the lineup, you can still compete if you can defend. And I think it took Toronto a very, very long time to learn to defend first. The other thing is Matthews is off to a slow start. Like he hasn't been Austin Matthews. So maybe he can go get straightened out in Germany. Is that where you go to get? And maybe when he comes back, he's right on top of it. I don't know. I think this is. Do I think Toronto's for real? No, because I never do. But for right now, this has been the best variation of this team for a really long time.
So you said straightened out. So you're saying that he'd be getting like a perm or what?
Yeah, I don't.
A lineup.
He should let it go. Like at some point, does he just let it go? The hairline's just drifting. Just go with the muzzy. No, just shave it. Wear a hat. Shave it and wear a hat.
Just go to Turkey. Like that can be fixed. We know that.
The whole thing of but is Turkey. Austin Matthews, who famously makes over $1 million a year, is he doing the I'm going to save like $4,000 and go to Turkey instead of just hitting up Dr. Matthew Lopresti?
Yeah, I mean, if you're
saw it on Reddit.
It's right there.
Those taxes in Toronto.
Maybe he's like, I just want to be a normal guy and fly to Turkey.
Look, I'm relatable. Is it possible that Mitch Marner this season is playing his way off the Toronto Maple Leafs? Because if he wins an MVP,
what do you do? But here's this is a huge problem. Mitch Marner's one of those tweeners, and you like him when he's playing well. He distributes the puck well, but he doesn't when the playoffs. We've seen it when the playoffs pick up a little bit of pace, and that's grinding hockey, and it's a little different style. Mitch Marner isn't quite as successful. He's having an unbelievable year, phenomenal. He's a really talented hockey player. But what's Toronto going to do? But I don't know what the number is where you're a Toronto Maple Leaf management and ownership group and go, okay, this is a number I can live with Mitch Marner. Can't let him walk for free. I think that's insane. You can't. The thought around that organization right now is they have to find a way to sign him. I don't know how you do that. You can't give him Austin Matthews money. I know there's people out there that say that it's not comparable. You got to do what's right for the marketplace. You can't. You want to put that inside your locker room right now, the best player, one of the best scorers in the history of this storied franchise, and you're going to pay somebody else higher than him? Man, I don't know. I don't know what that does to your room. And it's not about perception. It's about what it does to the guys inside the room. Because if Matthews is going to be looking down the hallway, you're paying that guy more? Like, really? I think it's a huge problem. I think it's a huge problem for Toronto. And I don't know what Brad Treliving's going to do. Would he have been better off trying to sign this contract over the summer? Probably. But he didn't think he had the money to do it. And now you're stuck. They're in trouble. Marner's playing above what they expected him to play. And you're going to have to pay him 13, 14 for Mitch Marner. I don't know. It's going to be a really tough situation.
Yeah, I mean,
that is an unenviable situation. Obviously, you have Tavares' money presumably coming off the books, but that's still like a really tough position to find yourself in.
If you're paying Mitch Marner like Leon Draisaitl, and this is merely a wing who can be awesome, but also can go bye-bye while playing games, I would hate that. I want to ask, why don't you believe in them for this? Like, is it just the fabric? Is it the jersey? Is it the vibes? Because when you look at them, they do have goaltending now. Stolars has been awesome. Wall's been really good. They have a coach that I think we all like in Craig Berube. Their defense is definitely better than it was. So what keeps you other than the fact that like they're not going to win? They're the Leafs. They are going to fuck up. But like, is it just that?
It is, and it's not fair because what you just hit on the head is everything that they've done right this time around that they haven't over the last several decades. And goaltending, I didn't think this was the answer. Wool coming into this, and Stolarz, you're going, oh, these are the guys, but they've been really good. But again, you go to their defense. The biggest additions on this team were Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and you can say what you want to about OEL and his diminishing, and he's getting older in the years. But in Florida last year, when you really needed someone to step up defensively when guys weren't playing quite to their level, OEL played great in the finals. And Chris Tanev's been a machine in Toronto. This is a Toronto team that lives on defense first, and I think that's the difference. I do think the coach is a big difference. The culture is just different. You've heard all the comparisons between Sheldon Keefe and Craig Berube, and they're different. I mean, he's intimidating. He is. And I think that's helped too. They got a real coach coaching a team that is, I think, finally ready to win. But I do think at the end of the day, I'm sorry, they're the Leafs, and they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to break everybody's heart. Maybe this is the year, but this team has not proven they can play together in the playoffs. Maybe they finally get over the hump.
At the
Also,
very least,
wait a second. I got to point out the unreal coach, the not real coach that was in charge of the Maple Leafs last year, now in charge of the Metropolitan Division leading New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Just
isn't it funny how that
team,
works?
I think.
no.
Yeah, it
The
is.
Devils are third in the Metro
By
but
points.
still.
By point. Yeah, I'm looking by points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you're right. But it's different too. When Sheldon Keefe went in there, he was a rookie coach in the NHL, never coached in the league before, with the same core players that he's had. And I do think it was a shift in message that needed to happen. I really do. And I think that you could say that for about a half a dozen teams right now that are mired in a position that they need to make some kind of a change, whether that is a coach or not. Do I think Sheldon Keefe is a good coach? I do. I think Sheldon Keefe is a good coach. And I think you're seeing that with that team playing better. Do I think it's all coaching related? No. I think goaltending is better. I think they're healthier. Well, maybe not all season, but that's a good team. They underachieved a year ago. I think they're better this season. I just think it's the right coach for the right team. And I think the Leafs right now, it's such a difficult place to play, coach, manage. It's a pressure cooker unlike nothing else in this sport. And I do think you need a guy with a personality like Craig Berube who really doesn't care. Like, I don't care what the media thinks, the fans think. I'm going to be the same guy I am all the time. And I think that the team is starting to recognize that and play well for him. I thought they were going to stumble early. I thought that'd be tough for Matthews, Marner, Nylander, who like to play a little more free. But I think the structures really helped this team.
I also think that there's a noticeable lack of sound and noise coming out of Toronto this year. They're just kind of like business-like, which I can respect and appreciate. They just really haven't been that interesting outside of the rink. So good for them. That's probably good for them.
We all silly like the mayor.
You look at all the work that they've done this offseason, and they have not gotten better.
They've done so much work too. I think they're a little better, but
No.
they're not much better for all the money
I
they
don't
spend.
think that they're better.
Let's quickly do, before we get to a fun slate grade, let's quickly do what happens next in the NHL. We were promised that there was going to be activity. Didn't happen in free agency, and people were like, yeah, well, they're going to have to make trades now. 16 teams have at least $6.5 million in cap space. 12 teams have at least $10 million in cap space. And yes, someone corrected me from earlier in the show when I was like, the Canadians have cap space for some reason. Carey Price's contract.
Yes.
That doesn't really matter. Teams have cap space. A lot of rosters don't seem set. We've heard about Jason Robertson potentially moving. Bo Byram signed 2 years, $12.5 million.
God.
Thank God, he says, but really it just sets the table for him to get traded.
That's fine.
It's a step closer to it being...
Something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened with Bo Byram. That's all I needed. I needed something to happen. Just us not talking about the possibility of something happening.
Igor Chinnikov has requested a trade. There was a Russian outlet that quoted him. You could tell it was translated. I think it was, I will be very glad to if there is a trade sort of thing. But Aaron Portzline has clarified that the Blue Jackets have received a trade request from Igor Chinnikov, a 24-year-old first-round pick right wing who didn't really do much last year, but was really good a couple of years ago. not the best, shall we say, of the Russians that the Blue Jackets have, but still a really good young player. Someone who, if you missed out on a JJ Peterka and you want to maybe get a young forward cheaper than what the Mammoth gave up, which was a good defenseman, a good young defenseman, and an okay young forward, maybe you go after Igor Chinnikov. I'm kind of surprised, though, that he wants out. Is it maybe you think just because he's not playing with those guys anymore?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to like diagnose whatever problem he has with the organization. But I mean, I saw like in that poorly translated
He said
piece,
coach.
No, yeah, he said he had an issue with the coach. And he also said like, maybe I'll just go back to the KHL.
He said I would. He said because someone said like, do you want to play in Russia? And he said, I want to play in the NHL as long as I can.
Oh, he did? Okay.
But
I saw
like sure, I like Russia.
Yeah, he said like some mention of like, maybe I play in KHL, but I want to play in America.
Right. So 16 goals in 53 games 2 seasons ago. That's a 25 goal pace. So this is nothing to sneeze at. Like I said, it's not JJ Peterka you're getting here, but maybe that's a piece that moves. And for what do you?
There's a certain team that needs to replace JJ.
I mean, it was my first thought. My first thought with a lot of these things, because I just desperately want the Sabres to be back and I want them to make the playoffs. But how obvious would that be? A Bo Byram, Igor Chinnikov type of thing?
I mean, what about like the LA Kings? Like they got Kuzmenko as like a low performing flyer. He was great for them. Like they still need scoring help.
Yeah.
They're a team that's just like still. You look at all the work that they've done this offseason, and they have not gotten better.
They've done so much work too. I think they were a little better, but
No.
they're not much better for all the money.
I
they
don't
spent.
think that they're better. Like they replaced Gavrikov
Yeah.
and Spence on the back end with Ceci and Dumoulin.
Yeah, Gavrikov I think is by far the best of those players.
By far.
They really should have just signed Gavrikov.
Yes.
But but now enter Igor Chinnikov into the players that we could see moved. And then another thing I want to hit is that Jeff Merrick has said that the Bruins have the same situation that the Canucks had when they traded Artur Shilovs this past week, which is that they've got a young goalie who everybody would take, and they kind of don't have room for him on their NHL roster. They were going to have to put him through waivers, which would not have worked. Someone would have claimed him, so they traded him for Chase Stillman and a 4th-round pick. Jeff Merrick is saying loudly that the Bruins have this with Michael DiPietro, who, a 26-year-old goalie, was a good prospect with the Canucks. People thought that the Canucks ruined him, which maybe they did. But very good season last year, was the AHL goaltender of the year, and re-signed with the Bruins. But recent winners of that award, I believe it's the Baz Bestien Award, include Alex Nedeljkovic, Dustin Wolf, Logan Thompson on that list. So some really good players have won that award. And now here's Michael DiPietro, 26 years old, won't be able to get through waivers, and the Bruins have Jeremy Swayman and Jonas Korpisalo blocking him. My thought is, can't the Bruins just trade Korpisalo? Like, I would love DiPietro to solve a problem for teams that need goaltenders, maybe one in Edmonton. But also, I'm like, if the Bruins have a good young goalie, can't they just keep him and find a way to get rid of Korpisalo? The Senators are already eating $1 million of his cap hit. So right now he's at 3 years times $3 million on the Bruins cap. I would think a team would just take that, or maybe they need to eat another $1 million. But what do you do if you're the Bruins?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to see them trade Korpisalo because, like, I'm not against trading DiPietro. I'd like to give him a shot at the NHL to increase his worth and then trade him as an NHLer. Like, that way you're going to actually get something really significant for him a year down the line or something like that. I don't know. It's probably going to take a little sweetening and a little work to trade Korpisalo.
Someone in the chat says Chinnikov to the Red Wings. Yeah. I'm putting
Sure.
everybody I know on the Red Wings and the Sabres and the Senators.
I mean, he's just one of those players that, like, unless you've got almost every spot in your lineup filled, why not see what it costs to get him and give him a chance?
I mean, Bruins, a team that doesn't have prospects too, should trade for that guy. Bruins should trade for that guy.
Yeah, I wonder what the price is because, like, the Blue Jackets say they're not eager to move off of him, and
intended.
I'm not convinced that he is all that great right now.
He should go to Utah. the now most Russian team in hockey.
True.
But
Or the
they, I
Flyers.
mean,
Do you really want to get Peterka and Chinnikov in the same year? I think they're one of those teams that like I feel like their roster is like pretty good right now.
Yeah, I just am trying to team them up with Russians. 'Cause that's when he
Chinnikov's
was
good and he's a
successful.
good goal scorer. He's definitely not amazing, but that'd be a big get for some team. And then Dougie Hamilton has 3 more years at $9 million AAV. I just want to slip that into the conversation because there hasn't been hard reporting on the Devils are trying to trade Dougie Hamilton. But the math does kind of math that if they do want to get all the Hughes brothers together, Dougie Hamilton will have to go at some point. To which I say, Donnie, bring him home. Or
Yeah, right.
Sean wants
Yeah, right.
Sean, you want
Everything
Dougie
about
Hamilton
it.
on the Sabres?
Give me a right shot, D man. Why not? We got money.
I don't know, man. They need old defensemen, but I don't know if Dougie Hamilton's the old defenseman you want.
I mean,
He's
there was
awesome.
Where are they getting in all the like? There's
But
just no players in the NHL.
I think they need like a Alex Tuck in defense form on their back end.
I would agree.
just
I
like a guy who's pretty good but old.
Guy who's pretty good and a really good.
Actually,
Not that
Tuck's
Dougie
not
Hamilton's
that old,
not a
but
good
like
guy.
he's like a vet.
For that team, he's a
Yeah,
vet.
right.
Yeah.
he's my spiritual captain.
Okay. And it seems that they're going to re-sign him, which is very good.
Here's hoping.
We all silly like the mayor.